I get inspired very easily. I would like to share a few things that have been of constant inspiration to me in my life. Just the simple thought and strong belief that I can probably make anything happen and achieve anything has liberated me for a very long time. Now, it's about believing, for me, it's about believing in anything totally, believing 100% that it's possible. Because even the 1% doubt is capable of diluting this 99% belief almost into nothing. It's like limits, we set our own limits, and unfortunately those limits kind of limits us. And so there was this phase in my life where I was trying to open myself out to the unlimited energy of existence, and I would have never thought that something like this I could convert into a high-end bag at that point of time. And if I'd set my limits low, then things would have changed. So it was just about opening up possibilities. Another thing that's been of great inspiration to me is just the fact that I strongly believe that this universe is available to everyone in its abundance, and it's what we really take from it and how much we are open to accepting willingly from this existence. See, one thing that this existence, as we all know, keeps putting in forth of us is change. And change is the only permanent thing. So for me, I was trying to see how I could accept change gracefully. And for the past 2 years, I've had a beautiful experience, and it is difficult to accept change because, we all like it when things are still, because it's something to do with our mind, something to do with symmetry, geometry, where you like let's say you're happy now, you like it to be that way. So I went through this phase of this accepting experience where I was just trying to accept anything that came my way, and it's been a beautiful experience so far. It's been very inspiring. It's filled me with a lot of surprises, a lot of exciting moments, and one small surprise, I'm here speaking to you at TED today. When I was asked to speak here at TED, I was extremely excited, but at the same time very, very nervous, because I'm not great at speaking or communicating brilliantly with the audience, and that's why I had this small red file to just make sure my continuity doesn't go for a 6. I've seen TED Talks have been of great inspiration for me for a very long time, and at TED people are able to connect with the audience really well. So when I was asked to speak, for me the TED Talks are up here. So I've just had around 2.5 years of experience in my life, and I was trying to see what value I could bring to the table. So therefore, I thought it would be interesting to share my journey, my story for the past 2.5 years as I experienced it. Now, my name is Suren Vikhash, and this thing says social entrepreneur and stuff, but I wouldn't be able to call myself that. I find it very difficult to define myself as such a person because I keep changing with time. And 2 years from now, I really don't know what I'm going to be doing. So I am passionate. If I had to describe myself, I would say that I'm extremely passionate about music and design. And these are two things that I've been doing from a very young age. There were 3 things that have changed me as a person from a very young age. I'd just like to speak a little bit about these 3 things. One is this beautiful place I grew up in. It was a residential school called Rishi Valley, and it was an unconventional school. So it kind of believed that responsibility comes with freedom, versus most of the unconventional schools believe that you be strict and a person becomes responsible. So this gave me the space to kind of explore at a very young age, where I discovered a lot of my passions that I'm doing today. I studied at Srishti, which is in Bangalore, and that was another eye-opener. Apart from unlearning, learning to unlearn my biases and preconceived notions, and learning the design process and what creativity was, I began exploring and experiencing this whole thing of creative pleasure. That's basically that's what I call it. Maybe it can be termed better, but it's something that the happiness, the satisfaction I get when I create something beautiful, which has something aha about it. So I went through this phase for some time in my life, where for a couple of years at college, where I was just extremely motivated with any challenge, design challenge I had got to take up, and try to create something that was unique. But after a point of time, I actually I began to question what I was doing, because it was beautiful. I was making phones thinner. Sometimes even things technology can't solve, simple thinking and simple solutions can. So this was a feeling of responsibility and also doing something beyond myself. So I took my graduation project as an opportunity to And I made a conscious decision to challenge myself to see if I could do something that could make a difference around me. And we are in India and there are loads and loads of problems around us. So I took something that came very easily to my mind, the problem of waste. Now, waste has always been a problem, at least for a very long time, and it's again getting worse and worse. So it's not surprising the reason why I chose this particular topic. And I started my research as a novel design student, but apart from the basic research, internet research, and the bottom-up understanding, I was like, there were already a lot of people in Bangalore who are making a big difference in the field of waste. Experts working in the field of upcycling, in the field of e-waste, in the field of composting, waste segregation, a lot of things. So my basic idea for the graduation project was to bring together these experts to a common platform where they could collaborate and co-create. This was an idea because one was I would gain a lot through their interaction, and also that most of these experts who work in their focused areas, the larger picture is waste and the larger focus is waste, but they are not connected. So this was just a thought, and it did take me some efforts to kind of bring them together. And yeah. Now, the general perception of cleanliness for most of us. Okay, before I go into that, the co-creative exercises with these experts led us to a lot of things. One very important thing with the stakeholders who played an important role in the waste management system. Now, slumbermen and rag pickers, they are the hidden heroes because they play such an important role. They start the waste management. And they are the ones who come and pick up our garbage from our houses or anywhere. But they are still looked down by society. They are constantly harassed by cops. So I realized that these were the people who played the most important role, and I wanted to see how this project that I was doing could kind of benefit them in any sense. So for most of us, the general perception of cleanliness comes when, let's say, this space is clean and all the garbage is thrown outside. Now, what is actually happening? We are cleaning our garbage from here and we are littering another place. Now, let's take polythene covers for example. Most of us, the conventional sense is to put all the waste into a black polythene cover, tie it up, and put it outside our houses. Now, unfortunately, still a lot of us don't segregate, and what happens is that we throw in paper, we throw in food waste, we throw in batteries, and we just tie this polythene cover. And these chemicals start mixing to form newer toxic chemicals. So basically, paper which was recyclable is no longer recyclable because it has a lot more chemicals. Now, how many of us knew that around 1% of the black polythene covers that we actually throw outside our houses get opened up and cleaned? And in other words, 99% of these polythene covers that go outside our house don't have a chance of getting cleaned. And the simple reason being, by the time it could potentially have been opened, it's going to be so many weeks and you don't find the same waste in the same state as it is. Now, all these polythene covers, they lead to the landfills. So I was kind of following where the waste goes. And most of these landfills, as we all know, are in the outskirts of the city. Now, one major material that are available in landfills, like you can see, are the non-biodegradable waste materials. Now, these materials have a huge life, but so let's take these two things I found here, and let's take this for example. Let's say it takes us around 10 seconds to actually drink the water and throw it away. And let's look at it a little larger. From the point of time it's manufactured till it actually reaches the shop, then the secondary buyer buys it, we buy it, we drink water and throw it away is just a few months. So for our convenience, this material that has a life of easily more than 100 years is reduced to almost a few months maximum. So the immediate idea that came into my mind was, why not be able to reuse these waste materials and see if we could create something of higher value. This is not something new, it's a process known as upcycling. It's basically a very simple cradle-to-cradle design philosophy where we use food from one end, we use waste from one end as food for another end. So there are many points of interventions, not just in these landfills, but even speaking to the experts. Reusing waste material is one of those interventions. Basically, these interventions are where a small change could lead to a big difference. So I chose to intervene at this point of time. I am sure that just by making products from waste we are not going to change the world, but when we start looking into different sorts of interventions and put them together, then a larger difference can be made. Okay, so for my final graduation project, I worked with a material called tetrapack. Most of you must be knowing what it is. The juice cartons that we generally drink our Tropicana juices from. And yeah, so sorry, this was an example to show cradle to cradle design in a very simple manner. These are some of the products we make. That is a lampshade made from, the bottle caps, the Pepsi bottle caps, and those are furniture made from automobile waste. Yeah, so for my graduation project, I took Tetra Pak as an example and tried to create different kinds of product just to prove to myself that it is possible to create beautiful looking products from waste, because generally when you speak of waste it's yucky, or there are different kinds of perceptions that come to our mind. And there was brilliant feedback that I got during my graduation exhibition. Apart from the fact that people were interested in buying it or selling it, there were some people felt that the graphics that show here kind of reflect the people's consumption patterns, and kind of it's more like a conversational piece. While some felt that just because it's made from waste, why do you need to kind of show that it's made from waste? Why can't you process it a little more? So now I'm going to be moving in from the time I moved it in from idea to a venture, because I wanted to make a difference in the field of waste, and I realized just by letting this go as a project, it is just another cool idea, however cool it may be. So I wanted to make sure that I could actually use this idea to convert tons of waste into real products, empower and engage different kinds of underprivileged communities, and here we have the slum women and rag pickers through the process of the project, and therefore have a positive difference to their lives as well. Now for me, this was the basic thing. Moving from an idea to a viable business was almost like moving from a designer to becoming an entrepreneur. When I started this project, my dad was like, you're a good designer, fine, you might be great at it, but are you a businessman? And that kind of didn't make sense for me, because I learned the word entrepreneurship also as things went on. And yeah, so at this point of time, there were two things that I was kind of thinking between, because I had got a couple of job offers, and it was not about job versus doing what we like to do, or even just doing what we wanted to do, but something that we were really passionate about, that we could say that it was worth doing it. Because generally what happens is when we start, one thing is a venture. Normally the general businesses in India are such that they believe in taking conventional ideas and established businesses and investing money. It's very difficult for any kind of investor to come across to a new idea and say, I'll invest in it. So it was a very difficult thing to choose between these two personally for me. It was a big risk. I was lucky to be awarded a cash prize of 50,000 for the same project from IIT, and I did get a 2 lakh from my parents that they had given me, and I considered myself very lucky, because at that point of time, government will not agree to the fact that a government would never give us a loan, because we are taking government's property. We are taking waste from the government. So it's been a beautiful journey. Time's almost going to be over. At Thunk in India, I just like to say that we work on two things. We work on processing waste materials. So this is one method we process waste. This is polythene waste that we've converted into a material. So we look into processing and material innovations, and secondly, we productualize it. So for example, this fabric has around 200 polythene covers, it's made from. And then it's converted and stitched into these kinds of products. And through the process, we empower slum women. And when I say this, because the word empowerment and green and all have been kind of overused these days. So it is not just that we are providing an income for these slum women, but we also teach them various skills that even if they stop working with us, they can go and earn money from. When so let's say we teach them tailoring and they go somewhere else and they are able to earn money from it. Now, I have not done all the design aspects for the company, so therefore I would like to credit a lot of designers who have been a part of this company, because moving from a designer to an entrepreneur, I had to learn a lot of other things. I'll just quickly go through some of the products we made. Sorry. We take up interesting fun project. This was a backdrop we had to make at Pondicherry for a fashion show, and it was speaking about conscious consumerism versus conspicuous consumerism. I would finally like to end by saying that, I've really experienced the power of being open through this project. A lot of things that I would have never imagined of starting, I have done. And it's just given me the joy when I see, so many people who are benefiting from our projects, the slum women, etc. Just smile, have smiles on their faces. And this is something life has taught me, that do anything that you really want to do, your heart and soul asks you to do. And lots of times we want to do something and we give ourselves totally into the process, but we are trying to achieve something. I learned that if I could just enjoy this process and leave the final outcome to existence, then the process would be much more beautiful. Thank you very much.